We are the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
Searching for old treasures, blowing off the dust. Timeless stories and legendary characters. This is Talking Movies. Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back to another Talking Movies. So on today's Talking Movies, we will be talking about the Bruce J. Friedman written and directed by Sidney Poitier 1980s Stir Crazy, starring Gene Wilder as Skip Donahue, Richard Pryor as Harry Monroe, George Stanford Brown as Rory Schulterbrand, Jo Beth Williams as Meredith, Miguel Angel Soares as Jesus Ramirez, Craig T. Nelson as Deputy Ward Wilson, Barry Corbin as Warden Walter Beatty, Charles Weldon as Blade, Nicholas Coster as Warden Henry Sampson, and as always, the entire cast and production crew that made this film exactly what it was. Now, the premise of this movie is actually quite simple and comedic in nature, and the story goes as such. Skip and Harry are framed for a bank robbery and end up in a Western prison. The two Eastern boys are having difficulty adjusting to the new life until the warden finds that Skip has a natural talent for riding broncos. With the inter-prison rodeo coming up, he forces them to participate. And since their appeals do not seem to be going the way that they planned, they actually plan to break out. This movie was actually incredibly hysterical. Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor together, amazing combination right there of talent. Now, I know this one is probably a little bit older for some of you, but the hilarity of this movie to me is timeless. I love this movie. I remember watching this one continuously when it was on regular TV. And this movie actually was a first because it was the first movie directed by an African American to gross over $100 million in North America. And how much did this movie actually gross? Well, this picture grossed $101.3 million at the box office in the US, making it the third highest grossing movie of 1980, behind 9 to 5 and Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. And of course, being the amazing talents that they are, Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder improvised many of their scenes together. And get this one. Now, while this was a movie portraying prison life, they apparently actually couldn't find enough extras, so what did they do? 350 Arizona State Prison inmates worked as extras in this film. Now, in today's society, this would have been greeted with a whole bunch of protests and God knows what else. But the cast and crew had to leave the prison walking in a line single file every night so the guards could ensure that no inmates escaped. Now, one night, Charles Weldon recalled, as I was walking out, a guard asked me to stand to one side. I should have realized something was wrong, but I obeyed him without a second thought. A moment later, Weldon found himself marched toward a cell block along with the inmate extras. Fortunately, the film's production coordinator noticed one of the actors was missing and rushed back to the prison. Weldon added, "The guard told me I could have sworn you were one of our guys." He was profusely apologetic, but Weldon said, "I didn't mind." To an actor, there couldn't have been a higher compliment. And of course, this is the second of 4 films starring Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder together. The others are Silver Streak from 1976, Another You from 1991, See No Evil, Hear No Evil from 1989. And both were also involved in Blazing Saddles from 1974, Pryor as a co-writer and Wilder on screen. And this movie was the 6th film that Sidney Poitier directed, but it was the first one in which he also did not star. And believe it or not, Richard Pryor nearly quit the film twice. According to Gene Wilder's autobiography, one day during filming, the craft service department was serving watermelon, and some of the crew members began throwing pieces of it at each other. A piece of watermelon landed at Pryor's feet. He left the seat, returning only after the crew member that threw the piece was fired. Another incident almost shut down production. Those stories may vary on this one. According to If I Stop, I'll Die, the comedy and tragedy of Richard Pryor by Dennis A. Williams and John A. Williams, Pryor claimed that members of the crew were driving out to the house where he was staying, 2 hours away from the film's Arizona prison location, and shooting at him. One day, he said, a crew member dropped a watermelon from a ladder near him, and that was the last straw. He walked off the set and vowed not to come back. Now, this may seem kind of strange behavior for Richard Pryor, but it actually is explainable. Now, according to Greg Ferrara at Turner Classic Movies, Richard Pryor constantly showed up hours late on set, sometimes not arriving until noon. His bodyguard later admitted to Pryor's agent, David Franklin, that Pryor was freebasing cocaine every night, making the star's behavior erratic and paranoid. And after the box office success of this movie, Sidney Poitier, Gene Wilder, and Richard Pryor were meant to re-team for Hanky Panky in 1982. That movie re-teamed Wilder and Pryor for their second and final collaboration. However, according to DVD Verdict, for some reason Pryor backed out and his part was rewritten into a female lead for Gilda Radner. And also, with Stir Crazy, Pryor earned $1 million for a single film. He was the first black actor to do so. Now, while a lot of this was filmed on the location of a prison, the tower that is directly in the middle of the cell block where Skip and Harry are placed was built solely for the movie. It remains in the cell block 2, but is never used. And getting back to Richard Pryor's sometimes irrational behavior. So the nickname of the group of bank robbers was the Woodpecker Gang, as Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor dressed up as woodpeckers in this movie, as well as go to prison. There has long been an association of the pair's characters being jailbirds in the film. But the two are never actually seen in the jail wearing bird suits. In fact, Richard Pryor actually refused to wear the woodpecker costume for the bank scene, so a double was used in the film. He did, however, wear it for the poster and promotional pictures. And as always, now we are going to get into a few of the goofs from this film. Now, while Harry and Skip are discussing leaving for Hollywood at the bar, no one is playing either pinball machine, yet pinball sounds are heard throughout the scene. And in another scene, where Skip talks to the woman in the department store, a boom mic ducks into view in the long shot of that scene. And while in prison, Skip is shown with multiple changes of clothes. Now, none of the other prisoners has clothes other than a blue shirt, white t-shirt, and jeans. Skip is shown wearing a gray sweater, a blue sweater, a yellow t-shirt, a blue t-shirt, in different combinations in multiple different scenes. Caesar Geronimo is wearing a black hat when riding the Bronco, a light-colored hat when riding Tornado, and a black hat when running the Hard Money event. And when Grossberger knocks out Jack Graham as Skip is making his escape, his hat and sunglasses both come off. In the next shot, his sunglasses are back on, but his hat is nowhere to be seen. And when Skip is thrown from the Bronco the first time, he is wearing gloves. As he rolls over on the ground, he is not wearing gloves. When Grossberger picks him up, he's wearing gloves again. Also, when the new inmates are given a written diagnosis test and Skip is arguing with a guard, a pencil appears and disappears in his hand. As well as when Grossberger is singing. There are 5 men in a cell with only 4 bunks. And of course, the easily overlooked ones. When Harry strikes the match on another inmate's chest, a small strike plate actually can be seen on the center of his chest. And this one is quite silly. One of the 2 robbers who impersonate Skip and Harry in the bird costume is clearly played by a black actor. Now, although the robbers are supposed to be 2 white guys, he's the one who punches a lady. Half of his face is visible under the mask, as his hand is as well. And last but not least, this one is actually a bit of a plot goof, if you will. So at the end of the movie, after the guys escape from the rodeo, Meredith tells Skip that they're free. However, they did escape from prison. And in a police state, no crime could go unpunished. So they would be recaptured and incarcerated for the crime of escaping.
I hereby sentence you to serve 125 years.
Have you got the right case? How's my best?
That's Grossberger, the biggest mass murder in the history of the Southwest.
Nobody has ever just sat down and honestly talked with that man.
They got this Korean doctor just set foot in this country. Make sure you don't get him. He's the one made the mistake on me.
Korea. How do you go?
Big.
Come here. I want to talk to you.
Keep going. Go to you. You made it.
Hello. Excuse me.
You man, don't take it. Don't take it.
Sorry.
Don't take it.
Sorry.
You don't take it.
That's the cat did me.
I'm just gonna stand over here for a while.
Don't leave me, please.
No, I'll just be over here.
Go down. Go, Wiggle. I feel terrific. Thanks, Cap. Wow! What a lucky guy! You son of a guns!
Could you actually become involved, romantically, with a prisoner?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I didn't think so.
That's right, we bad.
Excuse me, will you? Pose.
Get in there.
And I'll see you in about 5 days if you make it.
Think Grossberger ate them all up? Or did he leave some bones?
Well, if he did, we're gonna ship him back to Times Square.
Donahue. One more day, please. Just one more day. I was just beginning to get into myself.
Anyway, guys, I really enjoyed this film, and I really hope that you will give this one a chance. This is one of those old classics that is just truly amazing. I love this movie, and I'm pretty sure if you give it a chance that you will enjoy it as well. So let me know, have you ever seen this movie? Are you planning to see this movie? What do you think about it? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And of course, as always, my friends, I am so glad that you decided to spend time with me here today and watch this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, that you will go ahead and destroy that like button for me. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. I hope that you've enjoyed what you've seen and what you heard, and that maybe you will check out some of my other content. And if you like what you see and you hear, that you will consider subscribing to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Never let anybody tell you what you can and can't do, because your silence gives consent. Anyway, guys, I will catch you all next time. Later, y'all.